Prime Minister Meloni. Can you do some?
Mr. President, you had a conversation on the Pope. Mr. President, on the Pope. The Pope criticized people who, quote, manipulate religion for political or military gain. Do you think that he's talking about you, sir?
It's very important that the Pope understands. Very, very important. It'd be nice not to say it. Iran killed 42,000 people that were totally unarmed. They were protesters. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. If they did, every country, including Italy, where he's stationed, every single country in the world would be in trouble. So we're doing very well with respect to that, having to do with the whole situation on Iran. The blockade is amazing. It's holding up very strong, very powerfully. And I think we're making a lot of progress in that. But the Pope has to understand Iran, very simple. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. The world would be in great danger.
Mr. President, would you meet with the Pope to even out your differences because Catholics are torn?
I don't think it's necessary.
Mr. President, you spoke with Prime Minister Modi just a couple of days ago. What was the conversation like? What is it that is on the table now?
I had a very good talk with him, and he's a friend of mine from India, and he's doing great. We had a very good conversation.
Are you considering extending the ceasefire with Iran?
With who?
With Iran.
We're doing very well, I can tell you. Maybe it'll happen before that. I'm not sure it needs to be extended. Just so you know, Iran wants to make a deal, and we're dealing very nicely with them. We've got to have no nuclear weapons. If we do, that's a big factor. And they're willing to do things today that they weren't willing to do 2 months ago.
Do you have any news about Ukraine? Do you have any news regarding peace in Ukraine?
Will Hezbollah stick to the ceasefire? Are you confident about that?
I think they will. I think it's going to be, actually it's very exciting because it's 48 years. We're going to be meeting with Bibi Netanyahu, as you know, and the president of Lebanon. And I had a great talk with both of them today. They're going to be having a ceasefire, and that'll include Hezbollah, and I think it could be number 10 for me.
Mr. President, do you have any news regarding peace in Ukraine? Do you have any news regarding peace in Ukraine?
Ukraine is moving along. I wish they could get along, frankly. A lot of people are dying in Ukraine. We'll see what happens. There's things happening there. We're focused so much right now in Iran, seeing if we can get that completed. And I think we're going to be And I think if you look, the stock market is good, the oil prices are coming down, and it's looking very good that we're going to make a deal with Iran, and it's going to be a good deal. It's going to be a deal with no nuclear weapons.
Mr. President, when is the next in-person round of negotiations on the war in Iran?
They're all important. I mean, it's not a question of around. All of them are important.
When will the next in-person
Probably, maybe over the weekend.
Will you send the Vice President?
Maybe over the weekend. Just so you understand, the blockade has been incredible. It's held. They're not doing any business. They're unable to do any business because of the blockade. And so the combination of having no Navy, having no Air Force, having no anti-aircraft equipment, they have nothing. Everything is gone, including their leaders. Now they have a new set of leaders, and we find them very reasonable.
On the 20-year minimum to stop enriching uranium,
well, we haven't agreed to any. We haven't agreed to any. What we have is we have a statement, very powerful statement, that they will not have beyond 20 years. That they will not have nuclear weapons. That's beyond. There's no 20-year limit.
Any updates on Greenland, Mr. President?
I think that Todd Blanche is doing a very good job, from what I'm saying. I mean, all I can say thus far, I think Todd Blanche is doing a very good job.
If there's no deal, would you be willing to extend the ceasefire, or will the fighting resume, Mr. President?
I would say the fighting. If there's no deal, fighting resume.
Okay. And then on gas prices, how much longer will Americans continue to see these high gas prices?
Well, they're not very high. If you look at what they were supposed to be in order to get rid of a nuclear weapon, with the danger that entails. So the gas prices have come down very much over the last 3-4 days. I know, you know, and that's what ABC says. But the fact is that if you look at the stock market's up, everything's doing really well. And the big thing we have to do is we have to make sure that Iran does not have a nuclear weapon, because if they do, you want to talk about problems, you'd have problems. So very important is that Iran does not have a nuclear weapon, and they've agreed to that. Iran's agreed to that, and they've agreed to it very powerfully. They've agreed to give us back the nuclear dust that's way underground because of the attack we made with the B-2 bombers. So we have a lot of agreement with Iran, and I think something's going to happen very positive. Very complicated subject. It's. I don't think we're waiting. I think we're moving very fast. It could happen pretty quickly.
Regarding Lebanon.
Say it.
How long you could sustain the blockade on the Strait of Hormuz?
The what?
How long you could keep the blockade on the Strait of Hormuz?
We're doing very well with the blockade. It's very routine for us. The Navy is incredible. And I think the blockade is doing very well. It's no ship is even thinking about entering. No ship is going past our Navy.
Why are you fighting with the Pope? And are you worried it's upsetting your
No, I don't. I have to do what's right. The Pope has to understand that. Very simple. I have nothing against the Pope. His brother's MAGA all the way. I like his brother, Louis. I'm not fighting with him. The Pope made a statement. He says Iran can have a nuclear weapon. I say Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And if the Pope looked at the 42,000 people that were killed over the last 2 or 3 months as a protester with no weapons, no nothing, I mean, you take a look at that. So I can disagree with the Pope. I have a right to disagree. I have a right to disagree with the Pope.
What do you say to people who see that, who see your criticism?
You can't have, look, nothing, I have no disagreement with the fact the Pope can say what he wants, and I want him to say what he wants, but I can disagree. I think that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. If they do, the whole world would be at jeopardy. The Middle East will be blown up and the whole world will be at jeopardy. We're very close to making a deal. That'll be a great thing. The Pope has to understand, Iran has killed more than 42,000 people over the last few months. Think of it, protesters without guns, without anything. They were totally unarmed protesters. The Pope has to understand that. This is the real world. It's a nasty world. But as far as the Pope and saying what he wants, he can do that. Now, I know the Pope's brother. He is a big MAGA person. He's got MAGA all over his house. His name is Louis. He's actually a great guy. And I'm sure the Pope is a great guy. I haven't met him. But I disagree with the Pope. If the Pope would allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon, you can't do that.
Anti-nuclear shock from MTV.
No, not really.
Anti-nuclear shock from MTV Lebanon.
What?
Anti-nuclear shock from MTV Lebanon. I would like to ask you regarding congratulations for the 10th war.
Yeah, it's very exciting. With Lebanon, it's very exciting. I think we're going to have a deal. We're going to have a meeting, first time in 44 years. And Lebanon will be meeting with Israel, and they're probably going to do it at the White House.
When do you think, President, when do you think they will?
Over the next week or two.
Or the next week, and do you think this agreement can reach?
I do. I think they're going to. I think we will have an agreement between Lebanon, and they're going to take care of Hezbollah. But they're going to be working on Hezbollah right now. But we'll have an agreement between Israel, very importantly, and Lebanon.
Will you support our Lebanese army as well?
I would. Yeah.
Iran's going to Has Hezbollah agreed to the ceasefire? I mean, how do you even?
They're all agreeing. It's a very nice little package for about a week, and we're not going to have lots of bombs dropping, and we're going to see if we can make peace between Lebanon and Israel.
And this one around the Pope, Mr. President, because there was a group of bishops that did put out a statement saying the Pope isn't merely exercising his opinion, he's preaching the gospel. I mean, what do you say to people that view this as
I
an
want him
attack
to
on
preach the
Catholic
gospel.
Church?
I'm all about the gospel, but I also know that you cannot let a certain country, which is a very mean-spirited country, have a nuclear weapon. If they did, they would use it, and I think they'd use it quickly, and they would kill many millions of people. So, you know, the Pope can disagree with me on that, but certainly we're allowed to have that. I'm all about the gospel. I'm about it as much as anybody can be, but I can't allow, as President of the United States of America, I can't allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. And here's the story. They won't have. They've already agreed not to have. That's good news, and I think the Pope will be very happy.
The Federal Reserve should wait and see about this Iran war before lowering interest rates. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't agree. I think we should have lower interest rates.
Iran is going to execute 4 more protesters, reportedly, including the first woman protester. What do you tell Iran?
Well, tell that to the Pope.
President Trump will.
What do you say? Tell that to the Pope.
Do you want to patch things up with the Pope?
That Iran is going to.
The Lebanese people love you
Is that?
so.
Did you just hear that? Iran is going to execute 4 people, including a woman?
President Trump, the Lebanese love you so much. When you visit Lebanon,
Do you extend the ceasefire? What makes you to extend that?
I don't know if we're going to have to, but if we need to, I would do that.
President Trump.
Wait, that's important.
The
Sorry.
airlines, what are you telling the airlines and the oil companies about the way you're going to open up the Strait of
So if you
Hormuz?
look at the oil and if you look at the price we're paying, it's about half what people thought it would be if you did what I had to do. We had to take this journey to the Middle East in order to get rid of a nuclear weapon. There would have been, if we didn't hit them with the B-2 bombers, or if I didn't kill the Barack Hussein-Obama deal, the nuclear deal, which was a disaster, we would have had nuclear weapons exploding in the Middle East and beyond. I believe I've been able to stop that. I think we have a very successful negotiation going on right now, and I think it'll be, if it happens, it'll be announced fairly soon, and that'll give us free oil, free Hormuz Strait, everything will be nice, and I think your oil price will go down to lower than what it was before, and I think a lot of good things will happen.
Just for clarity, you're willing to extend the ceasefire if there is
Well,
no
we'll see.
deal?
I don't know that we'll have to. Ideally, but if I needed to, I
The
would.
Lebanese people love you so much. What do you say? The Lebanese people love you so much. What's your message for them? And you will visit Lebanon after
Yeah,
this deal?
I will do that. At the right time, I would certainly go there.
You know, Putin doesn't want to stop it apparently. He's bombing Ukraine. You think this war has the potential to go on for years more?
Well, it should have never started. If I were president, the war in Ukraine never would have started with Russia. But it's going on. Hopefully, it'll get over soon.
The First Lady came out last week and said she had no link to Jeffrey Epstein.
Who did?
The First Lady, Melania
She
Trump.
had none.
Why did she come out and say that last week?
Because the fake news was saying she did, and she had none, and I think that's been proven. It bothered her that the fake news was being fake news. So she just wanted to clarify.
Were you surprised?
Who's taking care of Hezbollah? Do you think that they are destroying the deal that you are trying to make?
We're going to see how it all works out, but they'll be working and coordinating. If you know Lebanon, right? So they'll be working with Hezbollah.
If you fire Jay Powell,
Interested in acquiring Iranian oil?
What?
Are you still interested in acquiring Iranian oil after?
Well, we'll see. I mean, we have a very good relationship with Iran right now, as hard as it is to believe. And I think it's a combination of about 4 weeks of bombing and a very powerful blockade. The blockade is maybe more powerful than the bombing, if you want to know the truth.
Are you going to make the Arab countries pay a portion of all of the costs?
I think they'll make that. I think they're going to make that contribution. I think the Arab countries, because we've done a lot, I think they'd make a contribution toward the cost. Yeah. Not been involved.
The deal of Lebanon is different than Iran.
Iranian assets without any condition if you make a deal?
We're going to see what happens, but I think we're very close to making a deal with Iran. You'll be the first to know, but I think we have a chance. And if that happens, oil goes way down, prices go way down, inflation goes way down, and you're going to have, much more importantly than even that, you won't have nuclear holocaust. Thank you.
What's happening now?
Mr. President.
Well, possibly, but I think a deal could be reached. Possibly. I would be foolish not to. I mean, if we're close to a deal, would I extend? Yeah, I would do that. But we're close to a deal. We're getting along very well with the new Iranian leaders. It really is its regime change. These are people that are a lot different than we were dealing with at the beginning. As you know, they're no longer around. They're no longer with us. But we have a very good relationship, and I think there's a very good chance that we're going to make a deal. Also, Israel and Lebanon, I think there's a good chance that they'll make a good deal. So,
when are they coming here?
Any reaction to Russia's overnight attack on Kiev? They killed 20 more Ukrainians.
I think it's terrible.
China, are you going to send any cabinet member to China before your visit?
Well, I have a great relationship, as you know, with President Xi, and I look forward to being there. We have a very special relationship. So I look forward to being in China.
How's the preparation going? Mr. President, thank you. Mr. President, you impose sanctions on Rwanda because they keep violating the Washington Accord.
Yeah, I do.
But President Kagame just said he don't care about sanctions, and he said he will not withdraw from Congo. His troops will continue in Congo. What is your reaction to
We're
that?
going to look into it very strongly, but they do have very big sanctions.
Mr. President, there was a G20 meeting in Washington today. Why did you invite Poland instead of South Africa?
Well, Poland's a great country. We like it a lot. We're friends with Poland. The president is doing a great job, so we invited him.
Mr. President, would you agree to the President
I saw your Truth Social post about Bruce Blakeman in New York. He's being denied up to $7 million of public campaign funds in New York by partisan Democrats. Have you seen that, and what's your reaction to it?
I can just tell you this. Bruce Blakeman is running for governor. He will be a great governor if he wins. I don't know that he wins or not because it's New York. And, you know, people cheat on elections and a lot of other things. But Bruce Blakeman is a great, great gentleman. As you know, he comes from Nassau County, which is a Democrat area, and he wins by a landslide all the time. And if Bruce Blakeman gets in, your taxes are going to go way down, and a lot of good things are going to happen, including cleanliness and all of the things that you want to see. I know him very well. He's been a great leader, a great executive in Nassau County. Even though it's largely Democrat, he wins in a landslide. Everybody loves him. He's a very talented guy, very great politician, and I think he probably has a chance. If Bruce Blakeman gets in, your taxes are going way down, and you know what else is going down? Crime.
President Trump, there are these 10 missing scientists with access to classified stuff, nuclear material, aerospace. They've all gone missing or turned up dead in the last couple months. Based on what you've been briefed, what do you think is happening here, and do you think that this is connected or totally random?
Well, I hope it's random, but we're going to know in the next week and a half. I just left a meeting on that subject, so pretty serious stuff. But we're going to be, hopefully, I don't know, coincidence, if you whatever you want to call it. But some of them were very important people, and we're going to look at it over the next short period.
Is it possible that some foreign adversary is in the United States scooping these people up?
Well, you know, Biden had open borders. It wasn't very hard to get here, but we've gotten many of them out. You know, we've caught many, many people, many very bad people, including thousands of murderers that we've taken out of our country, thousands of drug lords that we've taken out of our country, hundreds of thousands of prisoners that were let into the U.S. that we've taken out of our country. As far as the scientists are concerned, we'll probably have a pretty good answer over the next week.
And with the peace talks in Iran, does it have to be a big deal all at once, or would you accept a little deal to start?
Well, I have a little deal. I can make a little deal. I want to get it done and get back to keep going with low. You know, our pricing is doing great. As soon as the war is over, we're going to be lower than we were 2 or 3 years ago. So I want to get back to that. We had to do something. We had to make sure that Iran never gets a nuclear weapon. And we're at that. They've agreed to that. They've totally agreed to that. They've agreed to almost everything. So maybe if they can get to the table, there's a difference. They agree. They're going to get to the table with a pen. We'll have that over with. And then we can focus on our great economy. And also, you know, I inherited the highest prices in the history of our country, the worst inflation in the history of our country. I'll get it down to a very low number. We had it to a very low number, and it's still low. But the most important thing right now is to make sure Iran can never have a nuclear weapon.
Mr. President,
Would you ever go to Pakistan to seal the deal yourself?
I would go to Pakistan, yeah. Pakistan has been great. They've been so good. Islamabad, I might go, yeah. If the deal is signed in Islamabad, I might go. The field marshal has been great. The prime minister has been really great in Pakistan. So I might go. They want me to
Mr.
go.
President, the First Lady last week called on Congress to further look into and uncover the truth on the Epstein files, the Epstein saga. Do you believe that there should be a public hearing for more of these Epstein survivors?
Well, I'm okay with it. I think we've had a lot of public hearings. I'm okay with it. But I understand that the women didn't want to go under oath. That's what I heard. That the women, the victims or whatever, they refused to go under oath, which was a little surprising. No, melania felt strongly about it because she was accused of that I met her through Epstein, but it turned out to be totally false. It was a false arrest.
Mr. President,
Does this ceasefire also include Iraq and region?
Are we talking about the one with Lebanon?
Lebanon, Iraq, and...
Well, the whole thing. So we just made a deal with Lebanon. As of 2 hours from now, we have a ceasefire with Israel and Lebanon, and that'll be great. And they'll be meeting, probably coming to the White House over the next 4 or 5 days.
Have the Epstein survivors...
And that'll be the first time they've met in 44 years, which is pretty unneighborly when considering they're neighbors. But there's a really good chance that that'll work out with Lebanon and Israel. I met with, through the telephone, with the president of Lebanon, who's a really good guy, highly respected, and with Bibi. And I think there's a chance we'll be meeting right here in the not too distant.
Have the Epstein survivors received justice? Do you think the Epstein survivors have received justice?
Israel and Lebanon have tried to make peace before. What's going to be the difference this time?
Me. I'm the big difference. Me.
So Australia has announced, Mr. President, about taxes. States like Virginia, North Carolina, and New York, Democratic states are looking at raising taxes. Is that going to take away from the tax cuts?
What's happened? No, because, you know, no tax on tips. I'm going over no tax on tips today. That's why I'm going to Nevada, I'm going to Arizona. But this is sort of a no tax on tips. What's happening is people are finding out that in their tax returns, they're getting a big refund, much bigger than they thought. So it's no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. I think it's, wait. I think it's going to be amazing.
Are those the president's
but
spending?
if you look at what they're doing in New York, in California, they're raising taxes and they're driving people out. It's a shame.
Australia has just announced that it's increasing its defence spending to 3%. You've been asking for 3.5%. Are you satisfied?
No, we're going to see what happens. But on defense spending, look, we built the greatest military anywhere in the world. There's nobody even close. All you have to do is take a look at the blockade. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. That blockade is the best thing. And I'll tell you something. I think the blockade has been more powerful than the bombs. The bombs were powerful, and it weakened them. They have no Navy. They have no Air Force. They have no anything. They have no leaders. But their new leaders, the ones that have replaced them, it's a regime change. They are much more, I think, frankly, more intelligent and more moderate. But we have a real chance to make a deal very soon with Iran.
Just on Australia, they've increased defence spending.
On Australia, Mr. President, you asked for 3.5% increase, like 5% you did with NATO. Australia has only gone to 3%. Are you satisfied with that decision? Would you consider
I'm not happy
reviewing
with
defense
Australia because
Why
they were not
specifically?
Because they were not there when we asked them to be there. So Australia.
What did you ask for?
Australia was another one. They were not there, having to do with Hormuz, the Hormuz.
What do you mean by that?
Still friendly with Albanese?
I'm not happy. I'm not happy.
But why specifically? Do you still have a good relationship with the Australian Prime Minister?
What message do you think the ceasefire in Lebanon sends to the UK and the other European allies who chose not to get involved in the war?
Well, you know, we spend trillions and trillions of dollars on NATO. And when I asked them to get involved on a much smaller situation, which is Hormuz and Iran, they weren't there for us. Remember what I said. They weren't there. None of them. They weren't there. So we were there on Ukraine. I mean, we shouldn't have been. It would have never happened if I were president. But nevertheless, when they've had problems over the years, we were there. When we asked them to get involved on a very minor skirmish by comparison to what it could be, they weren't there. So I don't think they'd be there for a large skirmish, and therefore I think they've got themselves a problem.
Do your policies like no tax on tips, no tax on overtime show that the Democrat Party is no longer the party of the working class and the Republican Party under your leadership actually
I
is?
love this question. This is the greatest guy. Look how handsome he is. What a great guy he is. Yes, the Democrats don't know what they're doing. They want to tax everybody out of business. They want men playing in women's sports. They don't want voter ID. They don't know what they're doing. We've had an unbelievable run, and the people getting their tax returns, and they're coming back, and they're ending up getting $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 more than they thought possible.
Do you think the Pope was being disrespectful to you, sir?
The who?
The Pope.
do you think he was being disrespectful to you?
I don't think about it that way. The Pope has to understand that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And the Pope has to understand that you can't let a country kill 42,000 protesters, totally unarmed protesters. You can't do that. So the Pope, you know, I know his brother. His brother's MAGA all the way. You know that. Louis is a great guy. But the Pope has to understand you're not allowed to kill 42,000 protesters who are totally unarmed. And you cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon, or the entire world could be gone. And, you know, when the Pope realizes that, I think we'll have a different understanding.
Does energy dominance mean that Europeans should be buying more gas and oil from the United States?
Well, they should be buying more from us, and what they should be doing is using the North Sea. I can tell you, UK, I've been telling that to your Prime Minister, UK should open up the North Sea. It's one of the greatest in the world, and they should use it instead of buying oil from Norway and other places that use the same source. They should use it, and they're not doing it. They're doing windmills, and windmills do one thing. You know what they do? Put you out of business.
Mr. President, did you recently talk to Mr. Erdogan or the regional leaders about the peace deal or the peace talks about?
We're dealing with everybody. We're dealing with all of the leaders on many different subjects. We're very close to a deal with Iran. Thank you.
Mr. President, we have to Justin Fairfax killing his wife. Justin Fairfax killing his wife. You'll be after Justin Fairfax killing his wife.